Hey everyone, I'm Adam Roy, editor-in-chief of Backpacker, and I'm here with my colleague Zoe Gates and our special guest, outside social media manager Teaghan Skulski, to talk about our favorite gear of June 2025. So I've brought something that I've been using a lot on my trail runs and my backpacking trips this summer. And it's this little canister. I'm going to give you a closer look at it. All Day Energy Spray. So Zoe, you've backpacked with me a fair bit, so you probably know this, but I don't have a lot of like chemical or dietary vices. The only thing I have left here is my caffeine habit. I am caffeinated up basically all the time. I went on a run about a week ago with a Red Bull tucked into my running belt, which maybe gives you a sense of where I'm at. But weight has always been an issue for me when I'm deciding, how I want to get my caffeine fix. I usually backpack stoveless in the summer. I like to go, without any kind of stove unless I need to. That kind of puts coffee out. I don't know if you've ever tried to drink instant coffee mixed into cold water, but it's a bad time. Zoe, I know you're a fan of chocolate-covered espresso beans. I've tried those, but in Colorado in the summer heat, they usually end up this big goopy mess, just melting everywhere. My go-to for a long time had been powdered energy drinks until I got a couple of these. This is a caffeine spray, an energy spray. It's flavored kind of like a sour candy. You get this like really intense kind of sour taste, a little bit artificial, a little bit fruity in this kind of undefinable way. 2 sprays of this will give you 64 milligrams of caffeine. That's not a whole lot. An 8-ounce Red Bull is about 80 milligrams of caffeine, same as about a cup of coffee. So 3 sprays of this are like a large cup of coffee from Starbucks, I'd say. It's really light. This comes in at 0.1 fluid ounces. It has 6 servings, so basically like, 6 smallish cups of coffee in it. Weighs absolutely nothing. I've run with it tucked into my running shorts pocket. I've taken it out on the lake when I've had an early morning paddle this summer. So the downside of this spray for me is mostly psychological. I guess the lightest weight way for me to get a caffeine fix on the trail would be to take no-dose or some kind of caffeine pill. I can't bring myself to do that. That feels like it crosses the line from a harmless habit into I'm actually taking drugs. This feels like it skirts the line a little bit in a way that pounding a Monster doesn't. But I am getting used to it, and from a practical standpoint, this has been a lot easier to pack than any of my other options.
Yeah, Adam, I hate firing up the stove in the morning and I'll do anything for cold breakfast. And that worked great for me when I wasn't a coffee drinker, but over the past couple of years, my coffee habit has grown. So I'm always looking for ways to, like you said, skip that cold instant coffee. And I've always gone the chocolate route, but I'd be willing to try some caffeine spray. Sounds weird, but that ultralight mentality, I would give it a try.
Do you find yourself over caffeinating yourself because of the accessibility of getting caffeine now? Like, I feel like I'd spray like 5 or 6 times and be like super energized.
No, I'm pretty, first of all, the flavor of this is pretty strong. It's not like, it's not subtle. It's a lot of this kind of like really sour taste in your mouth. So a little bit goes a long way that way. I am also like, to be fair, I am like also fairly cautious about this. This is not a dangerous amount of caffeine if you are a healthy person. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so don't take my health advice on anything. This would come down to 400 milligrams of caffeine, which is like about a daily dose. The maximum kind of daily limit, I think, for what the FDA recommends a healthy person can safely consume. Zoe, I understand you've brought a shoe to show us. You want to hook us up here?
Totally. So hikers know the shoe can make or break any hike or backpacking trip. And here at Backpacker, we test a lot of shoes all the time. I've always been a fan of Saucony just because they fit my feet really well. And I've worn variations from the Peregrine line over the years. I really love my Peregrine STs for muddy trail conditions. But this spring and early summer, I've been testing out the Xodus Ultra 4 from Saucony, which is the latest in the Xodus line and the first in this line that I've tried. And I love this shoe because it is so comfortable. You can see it's got a really thick, foamy midsole, which has been so perfect for me this month as I've been hiking. They're super cush, which is great because I've been dealing with my first ever bout of shin splints, which kind of sidelined me for a couple of weeks and was really rough. But then I got the Exodus Ultra 4, and they're softer, cushier, springier than any other trail runner in my current fleet. So these have gotten me back out on the trails, helped me recover, and they just feel comfortable and protective. Yeah, that cushion is really just helping me get back out there. I wore these on a hiking trip to Arches National Park a couple weeks ago, and fresh out of the box, they were so grippy. I was scrambling up sandstone, slick rock slabs in fiery furnace with so much confidence, and they were just so much fun to hop around the boulders. They have 4mm deep lugs, which is a little bit shallower, I think, than those in the Peregrine line and some other Saucony's trail runners. But I found that on slick rock and rock, that made them extra grippy. So not quite as much grip in like loose gravel, loose dirt as some of my other trail runners, but they're great all around trail runner for grip on normal trail conditions, rock, and really whatever the trail throws at you.
How do they compare weight-wise to some of the other shoes you've been hiking in?
These feel pretty light to me. That's one reason I kind of gravitate towards Saucony trail runners and trail runners in general. They're going to be lighter than hiking boot. They're definitely great to run in. That thick foam midsole gives it a little extra heft than some more pared down trail runners. But like I said, the extra cushion and spring just gives it all around really comfortable ride.
Teaghan, I understand you have brought us a pair of footwear as well, but very different from what Zoe has. You want to show those off?
I have Blundstone's original high top boots, women's size 8s. I've been looking at these for a while now, like ever since I started getting into the outdoors. I've always wanted them. It took Black Friday and an REI gift card for me to finally seal the deal and get a pair. And I got them way back when in the winter, and I didn't even get to use them on the trail or in the city or anything. I was just kind of using them to go on walks in my neighborhood and putting miles on them that way, like about 5 miles each day. So I was like thought they would stand up pretty solid in the city. But it was actually this past weekend when I went to Seattle. Me and my girlfriend were trying to figure out what to do with, unrelenting Seattle weather. And we kind of last minute decided to go to Leavenworth and hike Kolchak. I was extremely nervous. It's been a hike that I've been really anxious about. I haven't done elevation that high until last season. And I was just really anxious the entire time about not having all of my favorite gear. My favorite hiking gear are my Hokas, and I am obsessed with them, and they've come on every single trail with me, every long trail, short trail. So to not have them was really high anxiety for me. And I decided that after spending last month in Outside Fest working in my Blundstones and putting on miles in them, I put about 9 miles in on those. I kind of wanted to test it out on the trail. So I decided to send it, and I ended up hiking Kolchak in these Blundstone boots, and it was a 8.5 mile trail, 2,000 elevation, and these withstood better than my girlfriend who was hiking in her Hokas, actually. They were better because they were waterproof. I liked the ankle stability too about the high boot because I had an ankle injury previously this month, so I was a little anxious on that end too. And I just really fell in love with the versatility of this boot. Like, I was using it in the city on my trip and then also on the trail. And I think every time I go travel this summer, these boots will be with me because they just are so perfect for any kind of trip you're going on, especially this summer.
I'm curious. I think the worry a lot of people would have about hiking in a Blundstone is, setting aside weight and all those specific performance aspects, is that they're a slip-on boot, so they tend to move around maybe a little more than something you'd lace up and be able to lace down. Did you have any problems with hot spots, blisters, anything like that?
I think the good thing about these shoes is that I really wore them in my neighborhood, and I understood where those hot spots were beforehand, and I was able to, prepare for that and make sure that I was placing band-aids in those correct spots, and really had no problem out of the ordinary with hot spots.
A lot of hikers might not think of Blundstones as hiking boots. I usually wouldn't, but the funny thing is I have seen people do some pretty wild mileage in them before. When we were in New Zealand years ago, our PR contact who accompanied us on that trip did the multi-day hike through Egmont National Park, or Taranaki National Park now, all the way through in Blundstones, through rivers, through rain, a couple days worth, lots of ups and downs. I came away from that trip, I think, with worse blisters than he did, which is pretty wild. And I was wearing boots from the North Face, like dedicated hiking boots. I think that's all we have for this month. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. If you want to read about more gear that we loved in June, go to backpacker.com. You can check out our reviews of tents. Our favorite meals just went up, backpacking meals of 2025. We'll be back in July with our favorite gear for that month. Until then, thanks for tuning in.